Alrighty, we're a day away from, a little bit less than a day from season 7 starting. And I wanted to go through some of the patch notes, talk about some different things that are happening, give some additional insight maybe to some of these sorts of notes. Because, you read through them and you're like, oh, chaos pillars, but I can actually give you some additional reference to some of these things to give you some, some idea of what's going on for the next season. So, of course, I will be live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Graxy_TV. We'll be blasting the new season. It does start at 6 a.m. CST, right? So you can convert that. You could also go into the Discord and get an actual time conversion so you know what time to show up. And you will be able to make your filters around like an hour or so before the season starts. So don't forget to do that. But let's get into this one right here. We have Chaos Pillars as the new season feature. This is going to allow us to loot Chaos Keys from monsters that we kill. This is going to allow us to unlock these pillars that are a lot like strong boxes from PoE if you've ever played Path of Exile. So I can actually show you what these look like. I have a screenshot for us here, or a video. There it is, right? You can see that there are these different pillars that can spawn in your map, right? Now, they're not all going to be crunched up together. They will be spread out throughout the zone, and these are very random. It's like you could go through several zones and not see one, but there are different rarities to these pillars. They go from common all the way up to angelic, and each rarity will give a different amount of affixes. So you can see, like on a common one, you'll have one affix. On superior, you can have two affixes. Rares 3, mythics 4, satanics 5, and angelic 6. I don't know if it's directly that, but it is way more affixes. The more these you get. I'm actually show it in this video here when we hit the angelic one. So yeah, you simply just hover over them. If it is a common, right? If it is a common, you do not need a key to open it. Or if it is a superior, you do not need a key to open it. Only a rare chaos pillar or greater will require a chaos key. Again, those chaos keys do drop from monsters randomly anywhere in the game, so definitely be on the lookout for those. These are really cool while you're leveling up these common and superior ones, because you can find one that has like all your monsters are bloaters, and they can drop relics, they can give you additional loot, or maybe it has better chances for satanic items. You could also get things like boss parts, so these can be actually really cool, right? There is a new class. We do have the Bard class making its way to Terethiel. This is a lightning / fizz / summon / fire / it's got a lot going on, right? There's a lot of really cool stuff on it. I can give you a quick preview of what that will look like. Can give you a quick little preview of what that class looks like, right? He's got a guitar. He's a metalhead. He's really fun. So if you want a more of a detailed overview of the class, I do have on the channel a class overview that goes through all the skills and the augments, so you can kind of take a look at what's going on with it. I also have a build guide that I made, so if you want to kick off the season a little bit better with the class, you can definitely check that out and get an idea and some inspiration of maybe what you want to do on the class. So that will also be linked in the description as well. Okay, next we have Andrixia, right? Andrixia is a new boss coming to the Ruby Gardens. She's an ancient dragon. She's really cool. We'll go ahead and open up we'll go open it up real quick and check it out. Where's my character? There it is. Would you rather start Lightning Fury or Fist of Heavens on a Paladin? Whichever one sounds more fun to you, buddy. They're both cool. All right, so we'll go spawn a key. Okay, Ruby Gardens. All right, if you don't know how to get to the Ruby Gardens, it's in the Dawn's Chapel. There's a little place you can put the key into here. Now, we're not going to go through all the mechanics of Andrixia. I'm just going to give you a real quick showcase of her. Oh, there she is. Right. There she is. She's a badass. She's a badass. She has her own unique pool of items. If you're curious on maybe what some of the items that she can drop, be sure to check out in the description of the video that will show you all of her items. That way you can get an idea of maybe what you want to get from killing her. She has some insane items, right? You're definitely going to, even on Hell 5, you can get some absolute crazy fucking items from Andrixia. So be sure you check that out. There's also the Rogue Chaos Tower boss, right? Or a Rogue Chaos Tower Codex that has a chance to spawn a Rogue Chaos Tower mini boss. This also will have its own unique pool of items. Again, in that video, I show you the items that you can get from this, as well as let's go ahead and I can open up a Codex of Chaos real quick. Now, the problem with this is I'm not going to be able to like guarantee it every single time, but let's go ahead and pop one open anyway. Oh, I have to like spam it till I get one. That's right. There's one. All right. Oh, I'm in hell one. I was like, I can't use it. Do you think they're going to change the leveling grind for season 7? I mean, you get your augment at level 40. It's not really much more they can do than that. Okay. I don't know which one it is. I didn't read it. Not this one. We can go back a step. Okay. Let's see if we can run into one here. But essentially, when you're in this, you're going to have a chance to get a Rogue Chaos Tower, right? While you're in the map. This will be just a mini boss. Is that it? Nah, so it's a Legion. There it is. Do I have a single target skill set up on this? Oh no. There it is. Right, he can have all sorts of different skills, as well as you can see he's lightning enchanted and has stone skin. He can also spawn with different monster affixes. He's kind of insane. Okay, that's what the Rogue Chaos Tower is going to look like. Be careful on that thing. He will fuck your day up. He will fuck your day up. Next, we have the Sheep King, right? Sheep King is now also an actual boss. Sheep King is now an actual boss. Is it not Shaponia? Is it a key? Is it a material? Huh? Is it a collectible? I think it's a collectible, right? Holy. Wait, I'm spacing out here for a second. Chat, what is the Sheep King item? Lol, I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head. Paz logo. That's right. I'm like, what is this shit? And it's a collectible. It's not. It's a consumable. Holy. All right, there it is. It's been a minute. All right. I still need to sign up codexes in the game. That's because they're going for more of a different system soon, TM. Right? Right? He's got his own thing. I'm trying not to get wrecked here. There we go. So he's an actual boss. He'll also have his own, set of affixes that can roll on him. So be careful on the Sheep King. Be careful on Sheep King. Yeah. Just as a side note, the Sheep King set is now Inferno only. Okay, so you cannot get the Sheep King set from Hell difficulty anymore. The stash is now sortable, and you can like move the containers around. They're scrollable, right? So you can see whenever we go in the stash, we can scroll. You do have to hold control in order to do that. Oh, no, you don't. I'm just holding control. As well as you can move them around. If you are Korean or Japanese, there's some translations for you. There's also waypoints that have been added to the end or the start of boss dungeons, essentially, right? So let me show you what those will look like. And these are fantastic if you know, maybe your character isn't as strong and you end up dying on the boss or you make a mistake. This will be really nice to be able to port back to the boss quickly. So here's the start of the boss dungeon. So it's not on that level. It's not on this level. It'll always be in the room right before the actual boss room. So you'll get a waypoint there. This will reset upon boat reset. Right, that'll reset upon boat reset. This is a really nice way that in case you die, you can just get back fairly quickly. I don't know if I can actually die on this character. Nope, so I'm not going to show that because I can't actually die, but that's what you'd be able to do. Next, there are some new skins for Bard. And there's also this really cool Capybara companion. Let me show you what that looks like. It's crazy how much this game has improved. Yep, for sure. Definitely. I think I can show it to you. Hang on. There it is. There it is. There's also some extra juicing in there. We'll get into that in a minute. Other than that, there are general performance improvements, right? General performance improvements. I've noticed, me personally, like I don't have the beefiest computer and I'm streaming and I'm recording at the same time. And even I don't, like, yes, I do have FPS drops, but they're not like bad. The only situation where I really feel they're extreme is if I'm just not killing anything, right? And I'm doing like mega damage with projectiles going everywhere. Yeah, in that case, I feel like most PCs will probably lag. But yeah, they're definitely still working on performance overall. There's a new achievement, 100, 100 slot machines. That's kind of funny. Destroy 100 of those. Jumping has been improved a little bit so that you're not jumping if like mouse isn't on a certain point, you're not jumping into the void essentially. So that kind of helps. A really big change is that you get your sub skill tree big nodes at levels 40, levels 70, and 100. This is actually quite game changing in terms of leveling because you're going to get these pretty early depending on how you level. For most people, they're going to be getting their big node in normal around, I don't know, around King Carp or Damien. Just kind of depends on how you play the game. So that is honestly fantastic for most people because I feel like that level 40 to 60 was kind of not needed because most people were hitting around 35 or 40. Generally, if you were like running through, you were hitting it around 35 or 40 at the end of normal. And then all you were doing was going to Rat Den at the start of Nightmare and just trying to just get to level 60 so you could blast all of Nightmare. So I feel like that portion of leveling has been kind of removed, as well as you can speed run some leveling early on to try to hit that 40 to be able to push through, like you just blast through content, right? So I think that's overall a good change. Yeah, there's been some additional support for widescreen monitors. I know that DM played Darth Microtransactions, and he was having like some issues with the widescreen. So hopefully, hopefully that has been resolved for most people. He's the only one that I know that plays on widescreen. So, yo, Darth, come back and play so we can see if that's better now for people on widescreen. I think Preston might play too. We could check with him. There's also a new default section added to the journal. So when you press escape and you click on the journal here, right, you can see there's some just different things that you can get descriptions on. If you're newer to Hero Siege or you just need a refresher, definitely check out the journal. Let's give you some more information on some of the mechanics of the game. Added a new, oh, we already talked about that. Cooldowns are now reset every time you enter a fresh zone. This was just added recently, like literally a day or two ago. This is insane. It's absolutely insane, right? Right, you can see I have a cooldown going here. Possibly it might be covering it. Yeah, I have the narrated one on a cooldown. Say those, I was like blasting through a zone. I'm killing a bunch of stuff. As soon as I zone out, the next zone, sometime this week, you can see I have that back. Right, so there's a lot of like duration buff related skills that you're just gonna have on every reset, and just have like in basically all the time. You'll have 100% uptime on them as long as you can like get through the zones quick enough. Right, you see I still have 10 seconds. Now when I go through Fields of Battle again, all right, I zone again or vote reset, I will once again have that buff. This is definitely a pretty big buff to a lot of characters. Also, Act 1 town, you might have noticed, is bigger now, and there's a new dummy-sized boss up here. Or, well, I guess it is not there anymore, but it's a much bigger dude. Maybe he's down here now. Nah. Definitely just a much bigger town in general. Hopefully he gets moved. I kind of would like him to be like down here so that we could have the ability to do some single targeting, even just like Act 1 to just begin the game, especially for testing would really help. But yeah, there is going to be like a bigger dummy in town. Blood packs can now support 50, 100, and 250 players. All right, up to 250 players. So my guess is that these will be around the same pricing as what we have currently, where it gets cheaper the more players it is. So 250 people is probably gonna be around $200. There's no exact, I don't have an exact number for it, and I haven't seen it anywhere. But my guess is like 175, $200 for the 250. Like 40, 35 or $40 for the 50, something like that. Anyone in the pack is now able to extend the duration with a token. So you can, if you have some people in your blood pack that you want or that are wanting to support the pack, they can definitely increase the time for you. And you can change the pack settings up to 2 times. So maybe you guys decide you want to change kind of in the middle. Maybe you made something like too easy or too hard, or you're maybe messing around with stuff. You can change them up to 2 times per pack. Blood packs now have their own global chat and drop announcement. This is honestly in this entire patch notes, like all 1,000 lines of these patch notes, this is my favorite line because I love blood packs. So now I can actually see when people in my blood pact have their own drops, right? And I can talk to them specifically and not the entire global chat. Fucking W. So happy about this. And there's a ton of either new or just changed sliders for blood packs, so you can give yourself more angelic runes, boss gems, gold drops, relics, Colosseum fragments, battle fragments, all that sort of stuff. You can change a lot about your blood pact experience. So very, very nice. Geras and Veras have been changed up a bit. They now spawn as normal, superior, rare, mythic, satanic, or angelic, right? And they're going to add items to the shop depending on their rarity. So you can also get SS items in Veras. Veras is the one that's in the Shadow Realm, so you do have a chance to get SS items from the Shadow Realm. Obviously, with the angelic Veras version, it is a 2% chance that there will be an SS item in that shop versus a 0.3% chance in Hell 1. So that's really cool. Yep, that's really cool. Now, Geras, the SS tier of him, has been lowered on Inferno from 3% down to 1% per item. So I think Geras farming was a bit too easy. It's a bit too easy with Inferno. So I think this is a W overall. For Chaos Towers, clearing a Chaos Tower now is a 50% to 100% chance to drop a Colosseum fragment, 50% being Hell 1, 100% being Hell 5. If you're in Inferno, you're going to get 2 fragments every time you clear that Chaos Tower. as well as Coliseum fragments do drop from the new Chaos Pillar. So there's just going to be a lot more Cool farming in general. So that's going to be really nice for people that are going to need like rings and their Cool Bell and those sorts of things. All right. Chests have had their magic find buffed in dungeons and challenge dungeons. For those of you that played season 3, y'all know what this is like, right? The challenge dungeon farm, the meta for that was quite insane. It was even more crazy than codexes, in my opinion, the goblin codexes. So, but they've had their magic find increased. So for Inferno, they're now 3,350 magic find. In Hell, they're 2,850 magic find. They've also upgraded the rarity of the chest from Ancient to Legion, right? So the amount of drop slots that are available in that chest has gone from Ancient to Legions, which it's way more. Off the top of my head, I don't remember what it is. I think it's like 3 drop slots on Ancient or 4 drop slots on Ancient, and maybe like 5 or 6 on Legion. I don't remember off the top of my head. But basically, you're getting more quant from the chest, and now it has more magic find, just to kind of give it a little bit of extra oomph. A little bit extra oomph, because you are paying, obviously, keys to go into that challenge dungeon without making them overpower like they used to be back in Season 3. Now, when we look at items, heroic drop rates are now 80% larger on their respective zones, and the journal now shows the chase drop rate for heroics. So just to give you more insight on how that works. So if you go in the journal, let's look at something that kind of everybody knows. Gem King's Garb, right? Gem King's Garb. I can move out of the way here. We can see that comes from King Act 1 zones 1 through 5. Here's its drop rate. It's 1 out of 192 and 192,500. It's kind of hard to see. And then in parentheses, we have its chase zone drop rate. So it'd be 1 out of 41,868. So it's important to like understand how this works. It's not that the game is only going to roll for this item, right? So if I were to kill a monster in Act 1's zone 1 through 5, it's still going to roll amongst the entire pool of items that can drop from that monster, right? It's just for Gem King's Garb specifically, it's 1 in 41,000 versus 1 in 92,000, right? This isn't going to make the drop rates for these items just skyrocket through the game and just, you know, be the only thing that you drop out of that zone. This isn't Heroes Siege 1 where you can only get this item from that specific zone. Is it going to generate more of them? Yes. If you look at, you know, the amount of items you'll get over a lot of data, for sure, you're going to get way more out of that zone, just because that's how numbers work, right? But I don't want to give this impression.
The bravest toast mom has been at your house.
I don't want to give the impression that you're only going to farm specifically this zone to get this item, because you can still get it globally. And the chance of you getting this one particular item is definitely much better than it used to be, but it is still rolling amongst the entire pool. And generally speaking, the only time you're really going to feel this is when you're in Goblin Codexes, right? Which makes Goblin Codexes much more valuable for certain reasons, because if you find a Goblin Codex that has Acts 1 zone 1 through 5 on it, that can now have value, a bit more value, because of the items that can drop in those zones, not just because it's a Goblin Codex that can drop any item in the game and it just, you know, you're just blasting loot everywhere. It's that you're now going to use your Goblin Codexes for more target farming. So it's definitely something to keep in mind into the next season, whenever you're either making Goblin Codexes or whenever you drop, you know, 5 slot ones, and seeing what zones are on them and checking what items can drop from those zones to be like, oh shit, like you can get Thunder Guardian plates from this one, and it's in the meta right now, right? Lightning will be in the meta, so this is going to be definitely a lot of value to the right people. So cool. Reaper's Culling now only removes crit chance. Basically what this means is Reaper's Culling makes it so that you cannot crit, but you always hit enemies, right? You can no longer crit. It was also removing things like Deadly Blow. It was removing things like Crushing Blow. This is a big buff. This is quite a big buff to Reaper's Culling. This is found on the Uber Reaper heroic drops. So you're now going to get Crushing Blow on the item, because we got Deadly Blow last season. You're now going to get Crushing Blow, which is an affix that will increase damage taken by 10%, up to 5 times. It stacks up to 5 times. So you're going to get basically a 50% damage buff on the shadow items because of this change, right? So if you're playing a Fizz build next season, I'm just saying, can definitely be a really good pickup just to get through, some of that early game content until you maybe move into crit. You can now prospect codexes into a codex page and craft a new one. So that will look like this, right? That will look like this. So let's grab a codex here. Whoop, wrong one. We can put this in the prospect station, the codex, and when we hit prospect, it's going to give us this page, right? It's going to give us a page. 5 of these pages will turn into a brand new codex. Let me just spawn some more here. Right? And then we just go to the cube. You can see we now have Eternity Codex, and we can just craft a new one. Right? This is going to be great for those codexes you get. We all know we get those ones that nobody cares about. You're just like, well, you throw them on the ground or you do whatever with them. Now you have a way to recycle those to try to get some extra juice out of them. Right? Good change. They've added faster hit recovery to various items in the game. Faster hit recovery, I'll be honest with you, for me personally, I don't really notice any difference to it, except for early in the game. Like when you're leveling from like 1 to 20, I would say, somewhere around in there, the hit recovery definitely helps so that you don't get stun locked. They've also removed the Unbreakable tag from items. This includes your heroics from the Ubers, right? From Ubers. Let me reset here. Let me grab a shadow item or something. Right, you can see that there's no Unbreakable tag on this anymore. So we have the ability to drop that in here, and we can prospect it for Satanic Crystal Fragments. Right, we get 50 or 45. So this is going to make getting your Satanic Crystals, like me, I hate doing it, right? I honestly hate breaking down, I guess, tier Satanics and stuff to get Crystal Fragments. I never really do it. So because we'll be farming some of that Hell 5 stuff or Inferno or whatever, we'll be able to break those items down and get some extra crystals that way. Which is great, right? Which is great, right? Now, for runes, the Unbreakable tag has been removed from runes, but you cannot prospect them, right? Just a heads up. So you can see we have no Unbreakable tag, but you cannot, as of right this moment, you cannot downgrade them. Rip. None. Easy. So Geras has had his item prices increased. Veras has had his item prices decreased a little bit. It's sad. I mean, I feel like I have some mixed opinions about this, right? I have mixed opinions for people that are in SSF being able to break down rune, sure, but I personally am not the type of person that says, "Oh, I dropped a Z rune. I have just now effectively dropped one of any rune in the game." Right? I find that stupid. I find it more fun to have actual value in dropping a burr or dropping a jaw or dropping like the rune specifically instead of just saying I dropped this rune or higher and now I just get any rune for free or any rune from there and lower for free. At least in this situation, like some people could argue, well, you could just sell it. True, but you could sell it now and have actual liquid currency to then go and buy other runes or other things in general. You could do the same thing, I guess, if you could break them down, but nobody ever would because you can break them down. It just makes like a lot of the runes, I don't know. You can still downgrade lower ranks. Yeah, for sure. It's just high runes. It's just high runes. For SSF, 100%, I can agree with it. Right, being able to downgrade an SSF would be really nice, but I'm also a masochist. I don't mind having low drop rates. It just lowers the value of all the other runes. Yeah, for sure. Cooldown reduction effectiveness has been reduced by 50% due to cooldown skills causing low FPS and disconnections. So this means that the current 200% cooldown reduction cap, you're going to need, 400, 500, 600% cooldown reduction to get the same value, which you can't even get, right? It's not even possible to get that amount. So cooldown skills in general are going to take a bit of a hit here, like things like Jotun's Orb of Frost. So just be aware of that if you are playing a high cooldown skill. Honestly, putting on a lot of cooldown reductions, like you'll notice it, but you're not going to be spamming too much cooldown reduction just because you're not getting as much value out of it. It does have a diminishing return. So that same 200% that you get now, for most skills, you're fine, I would say. There are some that are just really poop. As well as CDR on common items and charms has been nerfed. Like the value that you get on those items has been reduced. Right. For Colosseum fragments and scrolls of Ra, we can now sell those on the market. You don't have to go to Discord forums anymore. You can sell Colosseum fragments and scrolls of Ra. There's a lot of people, I'm sure, in the current season that had scrolls of Ra and had Colosseum fragments that never sold them. They sat in their inventory. They never did them because they can't do that content. Maybe they're a bit more casual players that just never got to that content. So now, hopefully, this will allow us to just, circulate a bit more of those Uber materials throughout the game for people that can do that content. The charms in general have been nerfed. Like common items and charms have been nerfed. Like things like flat elemental skill damage, crit damage, those have been brought down. So you're not going to be getting some crazy flat elemental skills damage on charms. It still exists and it's still really good. It's just not going to be, best in slot in a lot of situations. As well as they did add extra gold affixes to small charms and medium charms. I'll be honest with you, I don't know if this was needed. I feel like there's already a gold find meta, right? I feel like there's already a gold find meta that kind of fucks with the market a little bit, because when you can make like 10, 20, 30 million gold per hour, I don't know. I do know that they've reduced the gold amounts that you get on Ancient and Legion monsters. This was literally today. They reduced how much you can get from them. So maybe it's not that much anymore, but I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the whole gold farming meta, even though I know I made a video about it, but it is what it is. For Soulforge rings, those of you that were breaking your Soulforge rings and slamming them, you can no longer do that anymore, right? So just a heads up, if you get a Soulforge ring, if you do the quest and you get one, and you slam it and you brick that item, guess what? You're going to have to level another character, redo the whole quest line again, and get another ring. You cannot just re-get that ring anymore from any method. As of right now, you cannot. I don't think that's going to change. I don't know. They were kind of talking about it in Discord. I don't see what the problem with this was. It's the ring itself, like, isn't that crazy. The ring, and they could remove like a stat or two on it. The ring itself wasn't that crazy. And I really liked that there was some sort of sync to it. So not only did you have to do the actual quest line, you have to get the ring, then you have to slam the ring with satanic crystals until you get a slam that you want for your character. It could take you 1, it could take you 150, right? Then you actually get the slam that you want, or a slam that works for your character, and then sure. But you only get one of them. And I guess you could duplicate it with a Recool. But I don't know. I just don't feel like they were that OP to really need this bug fixed. And instead it maybe just turned it into a feature. I understand it both sides. But it is what it is. Don't do it. It doesn't work anymore, chat. Okay. Glyph of Loot has been nerfed by 50% from 1 point per point, 1 per point to 0.5 per point. It's a pretty big nerf. Kind of needed it. We all know that loot was kind of crazy. They're basically forcing the extra socket. Yeah, there's extra socks. There's all sorts of things you can get on there. Yeah. Wait, you can't even redo the quest on the same character? Nope. Gotta make a new character. Because the quest line, you've already done it. For me, there's a lot of L's in the patch notes. Fair enough. I think there's a lot of W's. All right, Socketables. Excuse me. Wildren jewels, these are the life percent jewels. They've had a little bit of nerf, 7% down to 6%. Honestly, the life stackers, they're not even going to feel it. Not even going to feel it. The Lapis jewel has had its crit chance buffed to 5%. This is actually quite a lot. I ain't going to lie, 5% crit chance per Lapis jewel is actually pretty good. If you're in a situation where you're like having trouble capping your crit, these can fill that gap. Now, these could definitely fill that gap. Tremal jewels have been reworked. They're going to give 2% all resistances and 2% damage reduction. That's physical and magical damage reduction. As a side note, you can only get 75% physical and magical damage reduction, right? So you're not going to be able to stack these like 100%. It's also a side note, armor, the damage reduction that you get from that is not the same thing as physical damage reduction. It is a separate modifier, right? They've also buffed the faster cast rate jewels. These go up to 8% now. Most notably here, I would say, is the Chaos Gem. Got a pretty big nerf from 20 intelligence down to 10. So you int stackers out there, that hurts, right? Pretty much every caster build in the game got nerfed from that, right? Because I think whenever you get super built out and intelligence-wise, like say you were doing just pure damage, no survivability to an extent, just like as much damage and as int as you could get, you were getting like 1,500, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less int. Now you're getting around like 1,000 to 1,100, right? Give or take in a lot of situations. But there are also some like int to damage conversion items. So it's, yeah. They've added 7 strength and 7 dex to Moonstone gems. The Moonstone gems are the ones that give you 7% attack speed. So they're 777. This is a pretty nice buff. All right, it's a pretty nice buff. As well as Nut Rune's got a little bit of an attack speed buff from 3% to 4%. This will just give you a little bit more APS early on in your starter weapon before you can get into Moonstones. Right? There's been some item changes, things like the Codex of Incarnation, new item. This is going to give you experience based on different monster rarities. So if you're, I don't know, if you're racing to get high hero levels or you just want to get a lot of XP, Codex of Incarnation only takes 3 sockets. Give you some extra juice. There's also Codex of Rift. This is going to make an unstable rift in the zone. It's always an unstable rift. It's going to give you increased amounts of unstable dust. So maybe you're wanting to craft your codexes. This will allow you to get a ton of dust to be able to do that. This is a 4 socket. And of course, we have the Codex of Chaos. This one has that chance to spawn the Rogue Chaos Tower with its own drop pool. Right? So there are a ton of new items being added. Definitely give that video a look-see if you want any information on these. I have the before and afters for all of these items. Before and afters for all these items. Some other changes to drop rates, the boss fragments like Colosseum fragments, all of your souls, battle fragments, dimensional shards, primeval parts, and angelic runes have had their drop rates buffed across the board. I ended up doing Uber Damien. I did 4 Uber Damiens and got 3 souls. I thought that was just like, was really lucky. I did like, I don't know, like 6 to 10 more, right? I did like 6 to 10 more and got another soul. I don't remember exactly how many it was. I got another key. I got 3. I think I did like 7 or 8. So overall, it feels much better. Can you get unlucky from this? Absolutely. 35% still has a lot of room for being unlucky, but it also leaves a lot of room for being lucky and can overall will be just consistent. There's also 40% on Inferno, which is quite high. 40% on Inferno. And Gurag has had a bit of a nerf, right? And Gurag had a little bit of a nerf. obviously, the only time we really care about this is in normal. So the bishop speeds and the towers have had their speed reduced, right? It's pretty noticeable. I've done it many times now where I only have 13% movement speed boost. And that's pretty much it. And for the most part, I can just walk around things and pretty easily dodge. Like they do have some speed to them. You're still gonna have to dodge them, but it's not like the main one was the bishops, I think. I don't know. I don't play chess. Whichever one goes diagonal. Those things would like fly across the zone. They don't do that anymore. Right? They don't do that anymore. Satan now spawns Legion monsters instead of champions. This is actually kind of interesting for you fire builds, right? For people that are going to be farming Hellfire Halos in Inferno, this actually could be quite interesting. You might actually get some additional loot from these Legion monsters. They have a really high chance of dropping good items, like SS items and stuff. If you ever have run the unmarked grave dungeon, this is in Satan's area. I forgot the name of it. Highland Graveyard. The monsters will spawn faster. I actually haven't seen this yet. This is kind of recent. That's way faster. Yeah, it's way faster. I'll be honest with you, this might be a new farm spot for me. Assuming you have a good teleport, this could be a pretty crazy farm spot. Kind of depends on what you're playing, right? Increased Legion monster drop amount by 1 and 3 in Inferno. This is actually kind of crazy. Yeah, this is actually kind of crazy, especially if you're running any sort of Codex that has the Doom Orbs in it. So you get more, you get beyond monsters spawns as legions, or just legion monsters in general. Legions are the ones that are they drop the most amount of loot in terms of like they have the best chance of getting you SS items and things like that. So giving 1 additional drop slot every time you kill one really will help just give us more items in the game in general. And 3 on Inferno is crazy. 3 on Inferno is crazy. As well as boss drops have gone from 5 and 10 to 6 to 12 drop slots. So I've noticed on bosses, you're just way more often you're getting satanics and stuff out of them. I don't know. I feel like bosses just in general, like I'm getting that like, oh shit, I got loot dropping from them. So it's obviously a little bit harder to get a realistic statistic on this for like SS items, but for just leveling and whenever you hit satanics and stuff, it seems quite common. Gabriel's also gotten a little bit of a buff. Uber Gabriel, he's got 33% increased life. He does 10% more damage. 10% damage, probably not going to feel it too much, but the 33% life is going to take you a little bit longer to get through the fight if you don't have the damage, right? Whenever you open a chest, you now have a 0.5% chance to get a dangerous mimic. This will have its built-in loot amount and magic find on kill. These can drop some juicy loot, so be sure while you're leveling that you're just running into your chests. Most people do anyway, but even in the end game, you're not going to be target farming just the crystal chests. You just run into all chests. As well as Act Boss unique drop rates have been increased by 12% on Inferno, right? And their loot amount has been increased by 3. Right. Increase the life scaling curve of wormhole monsters. I don't even know what that means. I've never done wormholes. And the entire time I've ever played Hero Siege, I've never gotten wormhole rewards. I just don't do them. I don't enjoy the content. So no clue what that'll do for you. 3-3 has been nerfed a little bit. 3-3 is right here, Mosseratham Desert. There's a dungeon in here called Forgotten City. We call it 3-3 usually. This has had some monster packs removed from it. I am going to run through it pretty quickly just to give you an idea of maybe what it looks like right now. But overall, I didn't feel like it got like super nerfed or anything. I mean, it still looks pretty dense to me. Right. Didn't even notice anything. Still has the same amount of shrines. So 3-3 will still be just fine. Just obviously a couple of less monster packs. Yeah, it's not like they removed the overall density by a certain percent. It's that they removed a couple of packs. Right. It's you're not even gonna really notice it. And the main reason you're doing 3-3 is if the monsters anyway, so it doesn't matter. Amon-Ra is now knockback immune. The heart phases, so the heart's not gonna go flying around fucking everywhere on the map if you have knockback W. Physical skills will now show their damage in tooltips, right? So you can see on Vengeance here, it does have a physical portion to it, and here's that damage. So while you're leveling, you're playing a phys skill, you'll actually be able to tell if things are doing more damage or not. Sheesh. Okay, proc skills are now their own list and do not interfere with actual player cooldowns. Proc skills are now on their own list and do not interfere with actual player skill cooldowns. So what that means is things like Dawnbringer on Paladin is now usable, chat. Because this would give us Fist of Heavens on a proc. And because it was procking, it would disable our skill. Because procs have a 0.5 second cooldown. Doesn't do that anymore. That's a big W. There's another character this is a massive W for, and it's Demon Slayer, right? Demon Slayer has the shadow weapons. And this one was procking the Slice of Shadows. And you you basically could not use this weapon on a Demon Slayer. Guess what? You can now. And it's really good. It's really good. So, big W. And there's I'm sure a lot more out there that I am not thinking of. But those are the two big ones off the top of my head. If you're dual wielding two-handed weapons, you have a 40% attack speed debuff. This is increased from 35% to 40%. However, if you're dual wielding one-handers, instead of getting 25% flat attack speed, you now get 10% total attack speed. So it kind of depends on here. It's like a nerf, but not a nerf. It's a nerf early and then can be better later, right? Because if you put on a dual wield right at the start of the game, you get 25% attack speed for free to be able to zoom around with. But then eventually you get so much attack speed that you'd rather have the 10%. So. Also, I don't know very many people that dual wield because you kind of need the shield for res, but it's still there. And as well as leaping and charge skills, their looping effects have been improved a bit. Outside of that, there is a shitload. There's an absolute shitload of class balancing. I'm not going to go through all of these because quite honestly, you wouldn't know what I'm talking about anyway for half these, right? I couldn't tell you what. Okay, I kind of know what some of those are. I don't know what Earth Root is. I don't know which node Earth Root is. And I'm not going to go to the character and one at a time go through all of these. Definitely come check out the patch notes. They'll be available in the description of the video. You can look through all of this stuff to get an idea of what's been buffed and nerfed for your class so you can make a decision on your starter. But with that, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. These are not final patch notes, right? Final patch notes will go out just before the season starts tomorrow. But for the most part, I can't imagine much else is going to change in here. If anything does change from what I'm shown in this video, I will definitely put that in the comments. I'll pin it so you guys know, hey, this was also added or changed or whatever. But for the most part, we can expect that this is going to be final. So with that being said, definitely come check us out live at twitch.tv/Garaxy_TV. We'll be blasting the new season live with some of the boys, right? Mr. Sleepy Cat and Gabe are going to join us, having a ton of fun. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.